So, how are fintech companies like yours navigating the exchange rate volatility? I've been seeing how it's sky. First off, at some point we had it at 450. That was like in 2015.
Yeah,
Now we're having it at, I'm not even sure if it's 1,500,
I think it was.
but that's that's how it's fluctuating
I
on
think it was 1,004 something today.
today.
Yes, yes. I think it was. I think it
Huh.
dropped a little,
Okay.
but yeah, it's been a tough one for fintech and actually almost everybody in the country. Actually, everybody's reliant on the dollar for
English for
quite a couple of
transactions.
things. And but how fintechs are approaching this, the good thing about being a fintech is that you can easily pivot.
Okay.
So basically, most fintechs have already started pivoting into other more revenue earning business that still aligns with what they're doing today.
Great stuff.
Okay.
So basically, you'll find a fintech that normally would issue out POS terminals to merchants, now offering lending as a service, as lending as well
No,
on top
okay.
of that, so that they can make some income
On the
from
side.
that on the side of that, right?
Mm.
So that way, that's the way to manage it because investments have really thinned out over the years. A couple of years ago, investors would have dropped in some money, and you hear the fintechs pouring out
Yeah.
dollars, raised $1 million, $5 million, and all that. But you've seen that that has reduced, and that's because if an investor gave you $1 million 2 years ago, and you promised that you were going to do X number of transactions, if, like you said, if the dollar was at 500 naira
Okay.
at that time,
Mm-hmm.
now it's about 1,005.
Hmm.
How you supposed to meet
So
up?
exactly. So it makes no sense. So that's why the investors have already started thinning out in terms of their funding for the fintech. So it's a race to profitability for the fintechs. So most fintechs are looking at some of them are looking at cutting on costs
Okay.
because your cost is also most of the times you're paying for servers, you're
Mm.
paying in dollars, you're paying AWS and all these other infrastructures in dollars and all of that. So first thing is they're trying to cut costs, and of
Yeah.
course it might also lead to some job losses.
Oh.
Uh, I mean, we've seen all the big techs
Yeah.
doing that as well,
Yes.
but the way to navigate it basically is also to look at other income streams that you can do within the space, within the ambit of the
Mm.
license that you have been given by the regulator.
Okay.
Mm,
Great
fantastic.
stuff.
And you know what? Hearing that just sounds like a side hustle within the hustle. That's
Exactly.
basically what it actually sounds like. All right, now, Dipo, you deal with POS machines.
Mhm.
Now, these machines are manufactured outside Nigeria. So, how exactly are you managing the increased import cost? Because it cannot be the easiest thing to do.
Yes, it's actually very tough. So what we've done is start to pass the cost of the terminals to the merchants or to the
Ah,
people that get the POS from us. Prior to now, especially in the banks would give the merchant the POS terminals for free. But
Yeah.
right now, most merchants are even willing to
To pay.
pay for it. But what we do is split the payments so that
Oh,
they don't
okay.
feel it. So we fractionalize the payments, so to speak.
Mm.
okay.
Because I'll tell you a story. We last year around August, I told my CFO that we needed to buy POS terminals, and that time I think the dollar was about 750, 758 to the naira,
Okay.
and I forced him to buy some terminals, and so we did.
Okay.
And if we didn't take that decision,
Then.
then yeah, we'll be able to buy only half of what we bought then now
Now,
today.
man.
So that's how. So we have to. And now, if I need to buy more terminals, I have to
Increase.
increase. Yes, increase the cost. So the way to do it is we're passing the cost to the merchants, and what we're doing is we're taking a fraction of it, whether it's monthly repayments or even per transaction repayments. So that's how we're looking at it.
Okay,
Mm.
that is actually similar to what happens with meters for electricity when
Exactly.
the consumer gets the meter and then over time maybe per recharge a certain amount is taken out until
Mm.
the full payment is made. Something
Exactly.
similar to that.
Something similar to that.
All right, all
Yes.
right.
But that helps us to recover the cost over a period of time. But
Okay.
I mean, we try to make it a very short period of time, whether it's like 12 months, 6 months, because the life of terminal is about 3 years before
Okay.
it fully depreciated. So what we make sure we do is that we try and recover that money within
A short
a
period
short
of
period.
time.
The merchant will pay maybe
A
a
fraction of.
fraction at first, and
Mhm.
then the rest will split over a period of time.
Okay. So talking about that payment structure, I know that Rotus actually spoke to a POS operator at some
Mhm.
point in time, and that POS operator stated that some bank officials actually collect money from them to, under the table more or less, to
Wow.
get those POS machines,
Wow.
and then they now have to now factor that payment structure
Mhm.
onto whoever their customers are, seeing that, hey, they've come to make withdrawals, they will not ask you to pay maybe higher sum than you would for maybe a transaction. Okay, so maybe a transaction of 5,000 naira now. Maybe naturally you're supposed to pay
Yeah,
10 or 20.
200 naira or something
You're
like
not
that.
Mm.
paying 500 naira
500 naira on
for
that. Yeah,
that.
I know
So
what you mean.
how do you now remove that human factor from this transactions going forward?
Oh well, it's quite sad that that happened because I know. I mean, I've been a banker for almost 2 decades,
Oh, okay.
and before I pivoted into fintech,
Into fintech.
right? And it's part of the ethics of the business. We don't
Mm,
sell cash, right? It's so it's quite unfortunate if this is actually happening. But I'm not holding brief for
for any.
for anybody. It could
Mm,
happen. This is Nigeria, but for the agent, the POS agent would ordinarily is a businessman,
yes.
and his business is
To
cash.
get.
The product
Mm-hmm.
is cash
Right.
actually, right? Like when you go to a supermarket, if the price of the product is high, then you have to
Also increase your.
increase your own price. If the cost is high, is you have to increase your own price to make
To
up
make
your
some
own
profit, yeah.
margin.
Indeed.
So I think that's why that agent is doing that. But I think the way to solve this problem is really to go digital. What is
Mm,
the real reason for the cash, right? And that's the problem that we really need to solve, right?
okay.
Today, outside of you paying maybe a bus conductor,
Mm-hmm.
the woman selling stuff in the market,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that, and maybe some other cash-based, because cash-based transactions, majority of the payments can be done digitally.
Indeed.
Yeah. And so what we're thinking is how can that be done? And that's what we need to push for. If you recall, in February last year,
Mm-hmm.
the central bank introduced the cashless policy, which I think I give them kudos. This was the best, uh, most efficient cashless policy implemented, uh, but it also threw out a lot of issues. We
Oh,
saw
yes.
people in front of ATMs, in front of banks, in front of queues. People were actually trying to
Indeed.
get, and the reason is because people are stranded at the bus stop because the bus conductor is not designed to accept card payments.
Mm.
It's not designed to do that. The market woman is not designed for that. She wants our cash.
Mm,
And so we really need to figure out what payment method uh,
works best.
works best for these people. And that's when adoption will be a thing and the need for cash will reduce. And once the need for cash reduces, then there's no incentive for a
Mm.
bank official to to sell cash higher than what it is to um, a POS agent.
Mm. I, I just want to quickly ask, with regards to that now, would you say that, or would you suggest that, seeing that we have market women, we even have bosses,
Yeah.
could we arm these individuals with POS machines, and then, hey, you make a transaction, you've done your costing, you're about to pay, instead of having to pay cash, you could just take your card. Oh, here's my money for the bus. Maybe it's 100 naira, maybe it's 200 naira. I don't have to now be carrying cash. I just know I feel my card, or get a specific kind of card for that
Mhm.
service. I don't know. Is that
Yeah,
something
yeah.
you're
I
looking
mean,
for
I
too?
think it's something that we really need to think about,
Okay.
and we need to find an African solution to the problem,
I like how you said African solution.
or a Nigerian solution to the problem. Reason why I say this is that we've tried to throw a lot of things and we throw a lot of tech around this.
Okay.
We've tried to throw NFC, QR codes, and all this
Mm.
type of payment methods that actually does not support a market woman or a bus conductor.
That is it. Could it also be because they've not been given enough you know knowledge about how to make these things work for them?
It could also be, right? A lot of literacy needs to happen.
Hmm.
Nigeria is a very low trust environment, so it is a very low trust environment. The POS, the merchants
Yeah.
really believes in that paper receipt that comes out of the
Right,
driver, right?
Indeed.
It is currency to them,
Hmm.
right? So it's on that receipt
Shows
serves,
proof that.
yes, it serves three things. It serves as the transaction notification
Hmm.
that is successful or failed. It serves as confirmation
Hmm.
as well that the transaction has,
Has
has,
gone through.
has gone through and all of that. And until we shift the merchant from that mindset to trust whether it's an SMS or a USSD
Mm.
prompt or something that comes through, that's when we'll be able to make sense of it. One of the things that we are toying with at Claim is we are trying to use an NFC tag where people could just tap. The merchant owns a tag, just like a simple card. You can tap at the back of somebody's phone that has an NFC enabled phone, and then the details of the merchant shows up on your own mobile phone, and then all you
Hmm.
just do is authorize the transaction, and the amount can be fixed. So it could be 200 naira. So now imagine if a bus conductor has, and it could also have a QR code as well. So I mean, we just need to find an African way to do it rather
Okay.
than arming them with POS terminals
Okay.
Right.
because, like we said, the POS terminals cost a lot now,
Indeed, they do.
right? And if there are 40 million SMEs in Nigeria, we can't buy 40 million POS terminals. It makes no sense.
Mm-mm.
All right. So what we're trying to do at Claim, for instance, is we are trying to make mobile payments a thing where people can use their mobile phones to either make payments or receive payments.
Mm.
All right.
Right.
And that is what is common with everybody I've mentioned. The bus conductor has a phone, the market woman has a mobile phone. So
Mhm.
why are we not using that? And one of the biggest fintechs in Africa is Safaricom, right? And they've used that in Pesa, the Pesa model in Kenya,
All right. These are in East
in
Africa.
the East, that's in East Africa, right?
Okay.
So they've used that and it's worked for them, and that's an
Mm.
African solution to an African problem.
Okay.
Interesting stuff. Well, we need to find African solutions, specifically Nigerian solutions to the Nigerian problems. And we'll be exploring more of this and a whole lot more on the other side of this quick breather. Stick around and keep listening because the marketplace on Smooth 98.1 will continue shortly. Don't go anywhere.
He's rich man. Oh,
Again,
We're going.
and I'm not going off contract.
No, no, no.
we're
We're
still,
still live.
we're still live, so I don't want to get too excited because we're still live. When we stop the live, and then
We can,
Unleash the dragon.
I feel like listening to that. I feel like listening to Unleash the Dragon. Let's go.
Let's
Go.
Good life now, life where you chop better. Sama all your food with correct
See what
vegetables.
SFX.
Come season up with no cubes. For that ogbonge delicious taste. Today, chop better.
Our ability to handle life's
No, my name is
challenges
Joy.
is a measure of our character.
Yeah, so it's Joy
Every
Joy.
challenge is
Joy.
It's interchangeable.
Ayo Joy.
Clarion call to greatness. An invitation echoing to each stride, inviting you to
Oh,
discover
do I look like a beast?
extraordinary within.
We'll explore that one
To
later.
find you. Welcome to the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, a showdown where dreams unfold your wings and challenges bow before the will to win. Your
What's up,
feat
Michael?
awaits in every courageous step you take, in every dream you pursue, and in every stride that leads you to the finish line.
Join us at the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, a celebration of your personal victories and the courage to find your feet. Get ready to run for more at the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon, happening on the 10th of February 2024. Learn more at www.accessbankplc.com/marathon. Access, more than banking.
Accessible, informed, connected.
Our approach is always
The marketplace on Smooth 98.1.
All right, welcome back to the marketplace on Smooth 98.1. You're tuned in to the Smooth Drive with Joy and Ayo. And our special guest is still with us in the person of Dipo Alabede. He is the MD of Clane, and we've been having a conversation about navigating the foreign exchange waters for fintechs. It's been a great conversation. You can come through with your thoughts as well, any questions or comments that you might have. You can send them in to us via WhatsApp. The number is 0809 440 981. 0809 440 981. Come through with your messages and your thoughts. We always love to hear from you. And you can also join us on the live stream on YouTube. We're streaming at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. You can see what goes on in the studio behind the scenes, as well as what Joy and I are looking like in the studio. In case you don't know what we look like, yes, you can also, and our guest as well. So
Yes.
you can join us on YouTube. All right, Dick, well, let's get back into the conversation. And it's been very interesting. But we need to also talk about cash. Now, last year, no, December 2022 into early 2023, we had the cash scarcity issue. It was an absolute mess. And then later on in the year, we had cash scarcity 2.0, as I was always calling it. And we really couldn't understand why that happened, because it seemed like we had scaled over the hurdle at some point in the year and everything was balanced. So how exactly do we address that cash scarcity in Nigeria?
Well, in my own point of view, I think that addressing the cash scarcity in Nigeria really requires us to do a couple of things, right?
Okay.
And first is to start from the basics. What is the characteristics or the nature of cash? Right. Cash has to be tangible. It has to be universally accepted. It has to be portable. I can carry it everywhere I go
Okay.
to. It has to be anonymous as well, right?
How do you mean anonymous?
Like if I give you 100 naira and I walk out of this place, nobody knows I gave you 100 naira.
Okay.
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 Do you get it?
No sirens or anything.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Do you get what I'm saying? It has to be a legal tender.
Okay.
So we need to find a solution that mimics these things, even if not 100%, but like 99 or 90%, right? And that's the way to. Then we now need to do other things like literacy, building trust
Okay.
as well, so that people that can trust this alternative payment method to cash. Why is cash scarce? It costs. I'm sure it costs the CBN. Well, don't let me say I'm sure, but I'm sure it costs a lot more than 500 naira to print a 500 naira note.
Mm.
Right.
Right. So, and the cost of even managing cash as well, it's a lot. For bullion van, storing it in the vault, and all those type of things. So, and then the risk of the cash as well. So, we really need, as a country, we really need to start moving to a digital economy,
Okay.
and in terms of payments, and we need to embrace digital payments. And the way I see it personally, in my own point of view, is to create a payment solution that is frictionless, that is easy to use, that mimics cash. Once we do that, then definitely we can get people to have more confidence in it and use it as a means of payment and accept it. And I think that's really the problem. Cash is the enemy.
Okay. When you say cash is the enemy, I don't know. Some people wouldn't really agree with you on that, especially
agree.
when it comes to the market women. Those ones will say no, there's
They
nothing
want
like
to
that.
see
They
their
want their
cash.
They want to
cash.
see, they want to hold
They
it.
want to hold it. That's what I'm saying.
Hmm.
But the cash can just be on our phone.
Hmm. So are you saying that we're ready to have a digital economy?
I absolutely believe so. The only thing is that right now, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Let's go back. Nigeria's digital payment space is one of the most advanced in the world.
Okay.
Yes. So we've had instant payments in Nigeria for almost 10 years, NIP, right? But you won't believe that even in America, they're just getting on
Getting
board
on board.
of that.
Hmm.
So the kind of payments that we have, services that we have, we've been enjoying in Nigeria, in some advanced countries they don't have it.
Is there a reason for that? Is it an intentional thing? They're not adopting it yet.
Well,
Could it be that?
it could be. I mean, there could be other reasons why they didn't want to adopt it, but it's quite fascinating that in Nigeria we're also the first one of the first countries to adopt a digital currency, Naira, although that has its own. You know
Yeah.
how that went,
Yes.
right? So I think that we're ready, but I think that the way we are approaching it is the problem. So,
Okay.
in my own view, a collaborative approach would be the solution,
Mm,
not a divisive approach.
mhm.
What I mean by a collaborative approach is that the banks and the telcos
Mhm.
need to come together.
And now there's that war presently looming. So I'm wondering at what time or when exactly do you think this digital adoption for transaction will get to its potential? Because it seems to be dragging and it's affecting lots of things. I can't pay for certain things because hey, my bank is not letting certain things go through. So at what time will we get this thing right?
I think we're closer to it than
Oh,
where
okay.
than where we
Well,
were
when started.
where we were a couple of years ago,
Okay.
right? But I think that it's this, and you see what the new entrants, what the new fintechs are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to mention
No, no.
it, but
Right.
they're already breaking that divide, right?
Okay.
You get into an Uber, and the guy says,
This is the
transfer,
company.
and then it tells you this, and then you do it, and before the money has gone through, that's it. That's it.
Mm,
Honestly, and it's just a matter of time before it picks on. My own worry with transfers, even though I love it, right, is that
it could be reversed.
no, apart from being reversed,
Okay.
it's instant. It's like cash. It's like
It
all
is
those
cash.
transfers.
What?
Like what I mean is the behavior.
Okay.
Do you understand? It's like cash. Like I remember what I said when I mentioned the characteristics of
Mhm.
cash.
Mhm.
It has to mimic it up to 90%,
Okay.
right? But the challenge is on the other side is that if you do a transfer all the time, if you do it like 50 times, you'll be charged a minimum of 10 naira for every transaction, and it's just it's just going to take a while before people start asking themselves, why am
Why
I
am I
paying
paying this certain?
exactly? So you now need
See
to
that
have
that
this.
conversation is another
So
conversation
you
for
now
another
need to
day.
find. That's why I said you now need to find a solution.
Okay.
Because if I give you 100 naira note, I don't pay 10 naira to give you 100 naira note. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
100 naira straight up.
100 naira straight up. But if I transfer 100 naira to you, I'm going to pay 10 naira to others. So we need to find a solution because that's what's one of the things that the cost.
It's holding back on
Yes,
certain.
it's holding back. Some people don't mind, but some people it's a lot.
It's a lot to them. That's true.
It's a lot. Their margins are that low. So why would you? Do you
Have
get?
to be.
Do you get? So that's those are the things that we need um to address to achieve. And I went back to the talk about the banks and the telcos coming together
Mhm.
because it's the combination of those two that can really make it happen, even
Okay.
from a fraud perspective as
Mhm.
well and all of that. But I think that once the two companies do agree,
On
especially
certain things.
especially on USSD,
That's a whole lot of drama going.
if they agree on that, I think our problems are almost solved.
Okay.
And that's exactly where we want to be.
Yes.
Now, the Minister of Communication, Innovation, and Digital Economy, that's Dr. Bossa Tijani, says it will cost about $2 billion to wire up Nigeria with fiber networks. Where exactly can we get this money from? I mean, seeing that we're all trying to get the dollars in to solve problems, $2 billion. What do you think?
Well, I mean, kudos to the minister. He's also been a fintech kind of guy, right?
Okay.
He's
been
part
in
of the
the
guy from the
system.
ecosystem,
Mm.
so he already knows how to raise money and all of that. But in my own view, and this is my own personal view, all right, I would still try and leverage on what is available, and what is available is the telco infrastructure. I went to a place called Toto Local Government in Nasarawa. It's in the outskirts of Abaji
Mhm.
and all of that. And as at the time I went there, there was they didn't have electricity that
Okay.
much. But guess what? One of the telcos was there.
Oh. So
So
you already had that.
yes,
Ah.
and this was a long. This was like maybe like almost 10 years ago, 2014,
Mm.
right? But I'm saying that if the telco was there, then that means that mobile money and all those type of
Yes,
things
can work.
can work exactly.
Mm.
So if the minister wants to lay cables, um, to provide, that would be fiber internet services, right?
Mm-hmm.
The people in the village, most of
And
them
just
don't carry smartphones.
they have those
They
usual
have those sort
small
of usual
small
small
ones so
phones.
that could just
So
carry out
so I mean
transactions.
it's a good thing. He I mean, and it's a good initiative. It's
Okay.
very laudable.
Okay.
And I think that it's something that will really help us
Okay.
Right.
as a country, because there are other services that can be layered on that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But we can start with what we have
All right.
and we can take advantage of it.
Mm. You know how it is. They say when you're having great conversation, time just seems to be
Mm-hmm.
faster than you.
Mm-hmm.
So before we wrap things up on the side, I want to know: is electricity the number one issue when it comes to all this payment processes, and is it something we need to be working on ASAP?
Electricity is an issue for everybody. Why I say that is
We even knew that the grid collapsed as of yesterday. So.
exactly
Ah.
electricity is
For the umpteenth time.
exactly. You see, that's the problem. It adds to the cost of doing business.
Okay.
The 10 naira I mentioned earlier, the banks are turning on generators, diesel generate, buying diesel.
Yes.
That is where the cost is going to come. That's where they're going to recover that cost from. But imagine if we solve that simple electricity infrastructure, then definitely that cost is not going to be added to the
Sure.
cost of transactions.
Mm.
So that's really, really. I mean, I know time has been spent, but I think that solving electricity and other infrastructure
Well,
like transportation and all of that
oh, okay.
will really aid these digital payments,
All right.
because you can order food from
Yes.
from your
Anywhere,
phone,
right?
yeah, delivered,
Right.
right, and pay. So all right. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up with okay, now two messages just came in. I mean, at the last minute, 90 plus 4 in football terms. Michael says, for the 100 naira cash that seems like you're not paying the 10 naira on, you already paid in advance when you made the withdrawal, plus the time it took you to travel to the withdrawal point. That's from Michael.
Okay.
And then Jay says, if you're going to give me 100 naira, we have to be physically together. However, to give me that money and much more today, it can be done by just pressing a few buttons. 10 or 20 naira isn't too much to pay for the huge sums. Jay, you say that, but it depends on the demographic that is involved in doing that transaction. That 10 naira to you or 20
might
naira
not
to you.
cost anything. But
For some
when it's
people,
just a mass.
when it adds up, it's a big deal for some people. And we need to get to that point where that kind of money probably wouldn't be much of a big deal to people. We need to get to that point and have further conversations. But we need to draw the curtain on this conversation. This evening has been an interesting one. Thank you so much, our special guest, Dipo Alabede, the MD of Clane. And we've had a great time talking to you this evening. Where can we find you on social media? Instagram, X, and so on and so forth.
Well, yes, you can find me so on Instagram. It's Dipo Alabede or Sadips actually. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
my
Sir.
that's what the guys in the tech industry have decided to call me. So I've adopted it, Sadips. So if you search for Sadips on Instagram, you'll find me.
Okay, great stuff.
All right, great stuff. Do have yourself a great evening. Hopefully, we'll have more conversations about this in the future as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you all for your messages as well as we draw the curtain on the marketplace. We do this every Monday at 5:15 p.m. on Smooth 98.1. But do stick around because the Smooth Drive will continue with Joy and I more great music to look forward to and so much more.
Africa's biggest market.
Thank you.
Information that